What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another Friday night live edition of the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday night. Will Gordon should be joining me shortly. Vernon Brownlee could be a late scratch tonight. We're gonna see if we get him on the show. Nonetheless, the picks will be up. As always, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show on YouTube. Make sure you follow me across all social media platforms. As you can see, it's Legend in Two Games completely spelled out. It is divisional round weekend in the NFL. So, of course, we got picks. Of course, we got questions and comments that we're going to get to in a second. Again, guys, remember, we go live every Friday night, 9 p.m. sharp. So make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show. And then on Sunday, Trip Young and I will be back with our reactions to this weekend. It is going to be a great weekend of football. One step closer to the Super Bowl. For some teams, this is normal territory. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're the Buffalo Bills, you're used to playing this weekend every year. If you're a younger team like Detroit, a team like the Texans, this is new territory for you. And then if you're a team that looks to get over the hump, like a Baltimore Ravens, like a San Francisco 49ers, this is a big weekend as well as you try to push forward. Let's get to the comments and questions, though. Appreciate everybody who's in the comment section, showing us a lot of love. Will Gordon is ready. He's in the building. I see him now. We're going to bring him on. What's good, bro?
What do you do, baby?
Let's get to it, man. How you feeling tonight?
Man, I'm chilling. Tired of all the snow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get hit with a lot of snow. But it is what it is. It's divisional round playoffs, so it's an exciting time, as I was mentioning. We got a lot of questions. We got a lot of stuff to get into, Will. The people, they want to hear our opinion on some things. And we are the opinionated one. So let's give them what they want. Shout out to Kyrie Thompson. He was the first question of the night. He wants to know, how shocking is the Eagles' collapse? Will Gordon, I'm going to let you kick that one off.
Man, it's at the beginning of the year, I think we were all in agreement that the Eagles were looking like a contender to at least get to the NFC Championship, at the very least. For them, with that hot start they had at 10-2, then the collapse the way that they did, being are they the first or second team to start out 10-2 and not win 12 games?
They're the second team.
Second
I can't
team?
remember. Yeah, there was another team that had a similar situation, but yeah, they are the second team.
That's ridiculous, man. And when you think about it, where did they go wrong? You know what I mean? When you look at the season, well, I mean, they did have a couple lucky wins where games could have went either way in the beginning of the season. But it's almost like, I don't know if the league finally caught up with what they were trying to do, or if somehow it just looks, to me, looking at the games, it looked like there was a disconnect on the field more so than between, like, because everybody's going to blame Sirianni. You already know that.
That's the next question from Kyrie as well. Yeah.
But it looked like something just wasn't right on the field. Like, I don't know if maybe guys were starting to feel themselves a little too much, pause, and was like reading their own headlines. But I just don't. It just doesn't make sense. You know, the AJ Brown injury, that I think that played a bigger toll than what people are realizing. Because that offense just didn't look right without him. I mean, and he brings a lot. He's a top 5 receiver probably in the league. When he went down, you kind of saw the wheels start to fall off a little bit, which is good for him because now for his next contract negotiation, he's gonna be like, hey, you know what I mean? But am I shocked? No, because anything can happen in the NFC East. But the way that they went out, starting out 10-2 and then just falling completely off a cliff, that's quite shocking.
To me, I'm going to say I'm not shocked because we had about a month and a half worth of evidence to show that they were trending in the wrong direction. Last 6 weeks of the season, they go 1-5. The only win they had was against Tommy DeVito and the Giants, and that was a game that they probably could have lost there. They peaked early. Like you said, they get to 10-2. They get the big win over Kansas City and Buffalo, and everyone thought everything was fine with them. But to me, the biggest thing that stuck out, I do think there was some issues in that locker room. I don't think it was just all on Sirianni. I think when we saw the comments about AJ Brown trying to organize like a night out with the team, and that was like week 16, week 17, that was a hint that there was an issue. That's not the time of the year where you're supposed to be organizing group events, trying to build up team camaraderie and chemistry. You should already have that locked in. But the one thing that stuck out to me schematically about this team was they were never able to run the ball the way they did last year. Last year, they were able to just run the ball and then hit you with the big passes down the field. This year, they can never do it. It almost seemed like all year they kept chasing the big pass play down the field, and it was never there. And I don't know if that just speaks to the league catching up to them. I don't know if that's just more so about the change in coordinator. Remember, new offensive coordinator comes in, different philosophy comes in, and maybe they wanted to go big play hunting as opposed to staying true to what they were last year, which was more of a run-oriented team that could beat you down the field after they got the running game going. But when you look back at them all year, and we talked about it a couple times this year, Will, there was points where we saw issues with this offense because Dallas Goedert never really got going early. DeAndre Swift had good games early in the season. And even though DeAndre Swift finished with 1,000 yards, he really had no impact the last 2 months of the season. AJ Brown getting hurt. Devontae Smith never really seemed to take that next level up that we thought he would take as a receiver. So they was, and then the offensive line to me also never really dominated the way they did last year. Last year, it seemed like their O-line dominated everybody. This year, as the season went on, it seemed like Jalen Hurts was scrambling more and having to run to extend plays much more this year than last year. So I think it was a combination of the league saw some things on tape, but also the change of offensive coordinator, I think, changed the philosophy there. And then defensively, I think that's what the bigger issue was. Last year, and coming out of the draft when they got Jalen Carter and they added all these guys on defense, we thought they got this interchangeable defensive line that's going to get to the quarterback and they can cause all this havoc. They never did. They gave up big plays all year long on defense. I don't know if that was, again, the change of defensive coordinator because their previous defensive coordinator went and took the Arizona job. But Matt Patricia coming in and taking over middle of the season was really bad for them. And they got a lot of things they got to figure out. Nick Sirianni, I don't think, is to take all of the blame on this, but they got to figure some things out in the coaching aspect because I just think philosophy-wise, they were a completely different team.
And I think, do you think he should be gone?
No, I don't think he should be gone. I think he's done a great job of developing Jalen Hurts. Think about the way Jalen Hurts was viewed 2 years ago when Nick Sirianni took over this job to where Jalen Hurts is now. Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate the last 2 seasons. Nick Sirianni turned his team around after what, Doug Peterson left behind with the whole Carson Wentz fiasco and high draft picks, and they had to get the quick turnaround to get him back to being competitive again. Nick Sirianni in his 3 years there, they've been in the playoffs every year. They were 9-7 a couple years ago and lost to Tampa. Last season, they went to the Super Bowl. This year, they win 11 games and they lose in the first round. Granted, it's not the type of season you want, but Nick Sirianni, as the head coach, has had a winning season every year. They've been in the playoffs every year, and they were just in the Super Bowl last year. I think you give him a little bit more time.
I agree with that. He's earned it.
Yeah. Like I said, a couple questions about the Eagles. Kyrie, should Philly move on from Nick Sirianni? We both said no. Kavon wants to know, did Jalen Hurts get exposed? I don't think he got exposed. I just think their offensive philosophy changed this year, and they went big play hunting as opposed to staying to what they were last year. They get back to running the ball again, it'll be different. Obviously, we know Jason Kelsey's not going to be there, the center, the all-pro center. Lane Johnson, the right tackle, might be moving on as well. He's flirted with retirement, so that old line might look different. But they got to get back to running the ball.
That's you kind of understating that with Kelsey and Johnson.
Well, I'm not understating. I'm just saying. Yeah, they still, even with the departures of those guys, if they leave, they still got to get back to running the ball.
Yeah, but I was going to bring that up. Jason Kelsey leaving is going to be a big hole to fill, of course, because you got a center is like the quarterback of the O line. You know what I mean? And he was probably the best in the league. So you better go find one in free agency and be willing to open up your checkbook a little bit, or you better go earlier than you probably want to in the draft to try to find one. Because if you have a center that's trash, because I've been around some teams that have centers that was trash, then your O-line has no shot.
Especially if Philly wants to continue doing the brotherly shove. That's a big part of their That's a big part of their short yardage offense. You got to have a center who can move the pop. Shout out to Vern. Vern, he's not on air tonight, but he is rocking with us. He said an Eagles
Counselor.
collapse. He said Eagles collapse just shows how important scheme/coordinator is to a quarterback success. 1000% agree. We see it all the time. Teams move on from offensive coordinators and the team struggles. We talked about Kansas City. The offense hasn't looked the same without Eric Bieniemy this year. You move on from the offensive coordinator, you are going to have some growing pains. He also mentioned that defensive line was so overrated. I also think the defensive line is got older quicker than we anticipated. They were still relying on some guys that were a little long in the tooth there. They're older defensive line. You know, some of the younger guys didn't step up the way they thought. Philly's got some questions to answer, though. Ron wants to know, more likely, Brock is reason for 49ers win or loss. He's referring to that game tomorrow night against the Green Bay Packers. The 49ers are the number 1 seed in the NFC. The 49ers are the favorites to come out of the NFC and represent that conference in the Super Bowl. Will he be more of the reason they win or lose tomorrow?
Man, Brock Purdy?
Yeah, Brock Purdy. He won't know about Brock.
If they lose, it's because he had a bad game. If they win, it's because McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, like the squad had a good game. Because you've never asked him to win a football game for you. All you've asked him to do was to get the ball to his playmakers. You know what I'm saying? So if he gets the ball to his playmakers, then everything else is going to take care of itself. But if he's not careful with the football and it's going into the other jersey, then of course that's why they lost. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going. We know what we got with Brock Purdy. You know, it's more so is the Packers defense going to be able to take advantage of plays that are laid out in front? Because he if you watch the 49ers play, there's like two there's like 2 foot. I almost had a super pause. There's like 2 foot. There's like 2 footballs that he throws that are like dropped interceptions every game that could swing the outcome of games. But now with the lights on and under the, everybody's playing like this is your last down because it could be. I mean, in your last game or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of adjustments that Packers defense makes. Because, like I said, Purdy, he's like Alex Smith 2.0 in a sense where he takes what the defense gives him. But if they could scheme up some disguised coverages, because he does get confused a lot. Like I said, the 2 drop balls every game. See, there went.
Yeah. You were trying to avoid it, Paul. You were trying to avoid it.
I was trying to avoid it. I couldn't avoid it. But if he plays mistake-free football and just takes what the defense gives him, I don't think you would. Even if they were to lose the game, you're not going to blame Brock. But the only way you're going to blame him is if he throws to the other jersey.
I think so. In regards to this question, Brock does have to play well for them to win. I don't think that he can just go out there and throw for 90 yards and they win unless their defense just completely dominates the Packers tomorrow. He's going to have to make a couple throws. But they can win without him having to throw for 250 yards. And you and I agree on that, Will. And Vern, I know, agrees with it as well. They can win with him just being average. So more likely he would be the reason they lose than win. Because if he throws for $175, but McCaffrey runs for another 150 and Debo does what he does and that defense does what we expect him to do, they'll be just fine. They don't need Brock to, again, throw for 250, 275. But if he goes out there and he throws a couple picks, which we've highlighted before, not only the turnovers, but the fact that Kyle Shanahan has made it very simple for him, one read type of offense where he doesn't have to go through his progressions. If he struggles with that against Green Bay tomorrow, if they fall behind early and then he has to throw the ball 30 times, the 49ers aren't going to win that game. I just don't see them being built that way where Brock's got to throw the ball 30 times for you to win. He's got to play well. He doesn't have to play great. So he is more of a reason they would lose than win. Better redemption story. Ron wants to know, Baker or Goff? I'll start this one. To me, Baker is the better redemption story. And that's not a knock on Jared Goff. We got to remember, Jared Goff had already played in a Super Bowl. Jared Goff was moved on, and the Rams moved on from Jared Goff because they just needed to upgrade that spot. It wasn't more so that they couldn't win with Jared Goff, because they had proven they could win playoff games with Jared Goff. Sean McVay had proven that. But he knew in order for the Rams to take that next step, they needed to, elevate that position. And they did that with Matthew Stafford. Baker Mayfield was on the cusp of being out of football. Baker Mayfield is on his 4th NFL team. He went from the Browns to the Panthers, and he ended the year last year with the Rams. He was on his way out of football if this did not work in Tampa Bay. So for Baker to play the way he played for most of the season, and specifically last week, it's the greater redemption story. He has salvaged his career. Will he ever live up to the hype of being a number 1 pick? Probably not. But now at least he's put himself into the conversation as a serviceable quarterback in the NFL. And also, I think it's the better redemption story because of the way that he was forced out of Cleveland. He was forced out of Cleveland for Deshaun Watson, and now people are questioning if Deshaun Watson's even the guy there. Meanwhile, Baker's still playing in the playoffs. Will, I said this to Vern last week. When we made the picks and you picked the Browns, I knew my pick was safe, because you, out of all people, I'm surprised you would ever pick the Browns in a playoff game. But in the last 25 years, the Browns have 1 playoff win. Baker Mayfield has that 1 win for them. Baker Mayfield, as a starting quarterback, has 2 playoff wins in his career. So not only does he have more playoff wins than the Browns, he's the one who gave them their 1 win.
That's crazy. I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I'm gonna just say that straight up. I'm not even talking about football. I just don't like the dude.
Personality wise, right?
Yeah. I just don't. Yeah, that's a yo boy. I don't like yo boys. So, I mean, the bigger redemption though, it's got to be Baker, because everything you said, Goff has seen success. He's been to a Super Bowl. Baker, they balled him up and threw him out like garbage. After, I mean, they did give him time to establish himself in Cleveland. He had more commercials than LeBron James at one point. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's trying to get back to that with the way he's been performing here lately.
So do you think we're on the cusp of at home with Baker Mayfield?
There's going to be some but in Tampa, there's going to be like at the beach or something with Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been playing very, very well, and you can see the improvement, because it's not like he's just some new guy that the Bucks plucked out of nowhere and is having this success. He was a former number 1 pick. He's played a ton of games in his career. So there's plenty of film out there on him. He's just playing very, very well. And the connection he's had with Mike Evans. I mean, I guess every quarterback that's played with Mike Evans has had a connection. You know what I'm saying? He's just that dude. You know what I'm saying? He one of them ones. So when you think about Jared Goff on this side and then Baker on the other side, you expected more from Jared Goff than you would from Baker. Because like you said, Baker was up out of here. And when I saw that the Bucks signed him, I said, "Oh, this is a tank year." You know what I'm saying? I thought, I was like, okay, they trying to tank. But he's proving me wrong. More power to him. Yeah, he's just playing good football. I can't even knock him right now.
I will say this, Baker. I understand your point on not liking Baker, because I agree some of the antics are overboard, and Baker gets a pass that certain players don't get, and we know why he gets that pass. We know why. But to play devil's advocate, I think Baker Mayfield went into a very tough situation as a young quarterback, because we know the history of the Browns organization. He went there as the number 1 pick when they were still very, very bad. And within his first 3 years, I think he had 3 different head coaches already. He went from Hugh Jackson to, I always give you credit for this, Will, because it's one of the greatest social media analogies of all time. Freddie Kitchens ain't better than Mel's Diner. It's still one of the best. What nobody says. Freddie Kitchens is less than Mel's Diner. It's still one of the greatest. And then he went from all that to Kevin Stefanski. In his first year with Kevin Stefanski, they make the playoffs and they win in Pittsburgh. And then the Browns do what most losing organizations do. You're starting to build something good, and then what do? You spend a bunch of money in free agency, and you bring in pieces that don't fit what you're trying to do. and they brought in OBJ, and they went and got Kareem Hunt, and they got all these guys who on paper sounds great, but they weren't really building the way they had originally started building that team around Baker at the time and Jarvis Landry, who was the number one receiver before OBJ got there. And then they fell apart. So in Baker's defense, he's played for a lot of head coaches, a lot of different offensive coordinators. Yet here he is. No disrespect to some of the guys I'm about to mention, but he got more playoff wins than Deshaun Watson. He got more playoff wins than Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got more playoff wins than Justin Herbert. Some of the young talent in the league, he has more playoff wins than them. So I think he is the better redemption story, and I'm still willing to give Baker time. I think his personality rubs people the wrong way, pause, but I'm still willing to give him time because he has won some playoff games where some of the other younger quarterbacks have never done it. Vern wants to know, is this a one-year wonder for Baker? What do you think?
No. If he stays in Tampa, no. Because I think he's won that locker room over. I think he's got some chemistry going with those players. And I think the city's probably embracing them too. Because they probably thought it was going to be a wrap once Tom was out of there. And now they got this little scrappy, rah-rah quarterback that if he was black, he'd be a problem. But since he's white, he's called fiery. That's how they do us in the league. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you got that kind of personality and you one of us, then we're a distraction in the locker room. We're, you know what I'm saying?
No, we know how that goes.
Yeah, like look, why? I mean, talent aside, like that's how they did Cam. Oh, you're too much of a distraction. But Baker, it's rah, like, you know what I'm saying? Let's get behind this guy. Here's your pom-poms, here's your pom-poms. Everybody grab a pair and wave them behind Baker Mayfield. But that's a topic for another day.
No, but we can get into that a little bit too. I think it all works as long as you're winning. It all works as long as you're winning. Because I think the same when Cam was doing all his Superman stuff in the celebrations, you couldn't say anything because they were winning. It only wore thin, I think, once they started losing. Once they started losing, and people started looking at different. And the same thing with Baker. He was a fiery personality when Stefanski first got there, and they went into Pittsburgh and won. But the moment they were losing and he started throwing picks, everybody felt the same way you felt, that, all right, like, enough is enough. It's worn off now. You got to win some games to be able to keep that bravado. If you're not winning games, it just doesn't work.
I ain't like Baker since college when he did the flag joint.
Fair.
And then, like, when you go to the pro level, when the Browns faced the Bengals after Cleveland fired the Browns. I mean, after the Browns fired Hugh Jackson. Then Hugh went over to Cincinnati as an offensive consultant. And then when they faced each other, and I think Cleveland won, Baker goes over to the the Bengals sideline, and is staring down Hugh, and like, come on, bro. Like, if one of us did that, but Baker do it. It's like, oh, look at.
It was because of their relationship, and there was other. I think there was other layers there. Nah, the reason I'm gonna say no is because, all right. So to be fair, in the NFL, I think you're right. If it was a black quarterback doing that, there would have probably been more backlash, and there would have been more outrage. So for this argument, I think you're right. I was gonna use a cross sports reference, but you're right. We're talking football, so let's keep it to football. You're right. If it was a black quarterback staring down his former head coach on the sidelines, it would have been probably a much bigger issue, and it wouldn't have been viewed as just competitive fire.
They talked about that all week.
You're right. I gotta agree with that. You're right. If it was a black quarterback, it would not have been viewed the same way.
Yeah, I mean, but more power to Baker. Once we get into picks, I'll get into it a little more.
Yeah, we're gonna get to them in a second. A lot of great questions. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Where we at? Justin wants to know, has he earned a long-term deal? I don't define long-term deal because I can see him getting a 2, maybe 3-year deal. I don't think anything. Yeah, I don't think anything beyond that. Just because this team is still a little older. Some of their best players are older, and some of them are holdovers from that last Super Bowl they had. So I don't think they make a long-term investment beyond 3 years in Baker. This is also from Justin, and I think this is one of the better questions of the night, though, Will. Shout out to Pooh. Pooh, we're going to get to your question soon, too.
How Pooh ain't
Uh,
now? Hold on. How Pooh ain't get first up? I
Not
thought that was
because
a
I
new
don't know. I
rule.
don't think she's on the live right now. She sent the question in, but she said I'm sending this in before I step out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah. But we're gonna get to her question because she said she out shaking her tail feather. Shout out to Pooh.
Oh,
I knew you would like that statement. I knew you
oh,
would like that statement.
oh my.
Hit her with the Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Listen, he wants to know, is Lamar under the most pressure this weekend? What you think, Will?
Man. No. I'm gonna say no because well, I don't know. Maybe because I mean, who's left? Green Bay, nobody there. Baltimore. Let's name out who else playing this week. What's
Well, I mean,
I
so
mean?
tomorrow's game, we got the Ravens and the Texans.
Okay,
It ain't the Texans because they got a rookie head coach, rookie
right.
quarterback. They already got
House
their
money.
win in the playoffs. Yeah, how complete house money at this point. You got Niners, Green Bay. Green Bay's in the same situation as the Texans. First year starting quarterback, you got your playoff win under your belt. Matt LaFleur, you've exceeded expectations. Most people didn't even have you making the playoffs, let alone the divisional round. 49ers, there is pressure there. That team is built to win. But this is also only Brock Purdy's second year as the starter there.
The most pressure there is Shanny.
Right. It's Shanahan. Then if you go to Sunday, you got Detroit, Tampa. I think both those teams are in a similar situation. Dan Campbell, first time in the playoffs.
House
Jared
money.
Goff, right. House money. They got their playoff win last week, right? Which this is crazy to me because I guess maybe I think you and I are going to see the same way, Will, because a lot of people don't see what I'm trying to paint the picture of. The Lions played Wild Card Weekend, and yet they trotted out Barry Sanders, Megatron, Eminem. They trotted out every celebrity they could for Wild Card Week. They treated that like it was their Super Bowl last week.
Yeah. They ain't got nobody. Who they got left?
There ain't nobody to bring down. That's
Marvin Hagler or somebody.
marvelous.
Is he from Detroit?
No, I think Tommy Hurd.
Is it him or Tommy Hurd? Tommy Hurd. Okay, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
They gotta bring Tommy Hurd out, right? But
You got a lot of hot, little man. Remember Mark?
Yeah, you got a lot of hot. He said, "Hitman, I heard you was the get Hitman."
Yeah. I don't want to fight no more. He was in the wall.
Yeah, I don't want to fight no more.
I don't want to fight no more.
But Tampa's in the same situation as we talked about with the Texans and Green Bay because Tampa wasn't expected to be here. And then you got the Sunday marquee matchup. Kansas City, to me, there should be no pressure on Kansas City. Kansas City's already proven who they are up to this point. Two-time Super Bowl. No, hold on. Hear me out. Two-time Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, I hear you.
But Buffalo, there is a lot of pressure on Buffalo.
That's what I was about to say. I think Josh Allen might have more pressure than Lamar at this point because you're facing a dude that you haven't been able to really beat yet. Pause. In Kansas City. This is a rematch from last year, right?
This is 2 years ago. Last year, Buffalo lost
that
to
what it
Cincinnati.
was when he didn't get his chance in overtime or whatever.
Yep, the 13-second drive by Kansas City.
I would say it's more pressure on Josh Allen than it is on Lamar, because Lamar is a dude. I mean, he's been counted out so many times. Like people expect him to fall off at some point. I feel like with Josh Allen, they expect to ascend, and he hasn't been able to do that. Lamar's about to be a 2-time MVP once the vote comes out. You know what I'm saying? And I get, well, you want the MVP to go to the Super Bowl or whatever, but who's he throwing the ball to? I mean, the rookies,
that can't be
the rookies have come up. No, I'm saying the rookies have come up, but now they just ruled out their best receiver at Mark Andrews for real.
Yeah, but Andrews been out most of the year anyway.
But you rather go in the game with him than without him, right?
No, of course you want all your weapons, but the fact that they've gone at least 8 weeks without Mark Andrews, you're fine. Isaiah Likely has served that role well.
Yeah.
And Zay Flowers has probably moved into their number one option right now.
But both of those guys you just mentioned haven't done it under the lights, really.
Right.
Okay.
Nobody on that team has.
Yeah, so that's why I would say with Josh Allen, that team's been around him for a minute, and you got a receiver in Stephon Diggs that, if you listen to the little whispers behind closed doors, hasn't been really been too happy with what's been going on with that offense this year. So as much as they put on Josh Allen's back as far as the offense is concerned, I mean they put a lot on Lamar's too, but I think Josh Allen has a little bit more to work with than what Lamar does. And Josh Allen really hasn't done anything. I mean, he's put up numbers. He's looked the part, but what does he have to show for it at this point? No hardware, no significant playoff wins. So I'm gonna say Josh Allen is the one with the most pressure on him this weekend.
I'm gonna say it's fair to compare both these situations, and I think when you're comparing the two situations, if you're talking quarterbacks, it's got to be Lamar. Lamar has one career playoff victory, and if Lamar wins the MVP this year and loses in this round, this would be the second time that he was the number one seed and lost in his opening playoff game, because it happened a couple years ago when they lost to the Titans at home. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Lamar because we have said in the media, as fans, as observers of the sport, that Lamar needs weapons. They got to get him weapons. They got to upgrade the guys around him. Well, they did that this year. They also got the number one defense in the league. And I know Lamar can only control his side of the ball. But if that defense plays the way they've been playing, since they acquired Roquan Smith midway through last year, we're talking over 20 plus weeks of football. They have been the number one defense. If that defense plays the way it has played since they acquired Roquan Smith, then all the pressure's on Lamar to perform. And if they go out tomorrow and only score 16 points against a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback playing their first road game, it's a massive disappointment for Lamar. It is a massive disappointment for Harbaugh. Now, in terms of Buffalo, I think there's a lot of pressure on Sean McDermott because if Buffalo loses tomorrow, Sean McDermott is losing his job. I do not see a scenario where he keeps his job if they lose to Kansas City for the third time in 4 years in the playoffs. If Buffalo isn't advancing to an AFC Championship game, he's gone, and that guy with the 6 rings that just left New England is going to be on that first flight out to Buffalo for an interview. So Sean McDermott, I think, is under a lot of pressure to win this game and get over the hump of beating Andy Reid. But in terms of quarterbacks, Josh Allen has some playoff victories. And Josh Allen has gone toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. It isn't Josh Allen's fault that they lost to Kansas City a couple years ago. Josh Allen did everything he was supposed to do to win that game. As you mentioned, they never get the ball in overtime, and their defense gives up a 13-second drive that forces overtime. But if Lamar and those guys don't win tomorrow as the number one seed, as damn near 10-point favorites against C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans, yeah, there's going to be a major issue. And I think we're going to look at Lamar completely different. You can't tell me you got more MVPs than actual playoff wins. You know that, Will. You got to have some playoff wins too. It just can't be the MVPs. What else we got? Mahomes versus Allen. Best rivalry in the NFL? Right now, I think so. I think in terms of the way they've matched up, this is their 7th time playing in the last 4 years, including regular season. This is their 3rd playoff matchup. I would love to put Burrow against Mahomes because of the way their 2 playoff games have gone against each other. But Allen and Mahomes, but he's not only has missed too much time, Allen and Mahomes have played more often. And again, the stakes continue to rise every time they play.
Yeah, I don't really see another rivalry right now in the league that's bigger than that because there's been so much turnover with guys retiring and new guys coming in.
Yeah, we got a couple more football related, then we're gonna get to basketball. And actually, while we do that too, let me let the pick scroll across the bottom. As always, Will is picking straight up games. He's not going against the spread. Vern and I, we go against the spread. You'll see our picks come across the bottom of the screen as well. Will, we got a question in regards to something that Chase Young said. And I probably should have brought it up when we were talking Niners earlier. Chase Young, he said Brock Purdy's best quarterback in the league. You're a motherfucking liar.
He said what? He better tell the truth and shame the devil, man.
Yeah, you saw I had to take a shot for that. I mean, first of all, you ain't even been there long enough. You ain't even been there long enough to say Brock Purdy the best quarterback. You only been there about a month. But we know Brock Purdy.
Yeah, no bull. Man, Chase Young. No, I ain't even gonna go there. I'm being nice tonight.
Not go ahead.
This dude. No, I ain't going there, man. Thank you, Washington, for selecting Chase Young -- 2 overall.
Let's see.
That's
Do we
I'm
have
gonna keep it
any more
positive.
football related? If not, we're gonna get over to some NBA. What Vern got down here? Vern, we're gonna get to that in a second. We're gonna get back to the NBA to finish off because our picks are gonna be scrolling across the bottom. Let's get some of this NBA related stuff out the way though. I'll tell Wright wants to know its halfway point awards in the NBA. He wants to know MVP, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved, All NBA First Team. We can avoid the All NBA First Team. We don't have to do that because that's going to be a lengthy conversation. But I do want to know who you got as your MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Most Improved.
Hmm. Okay, I didn't know we was getting into some hoops tonight. All right,
Listen,
let's see.
this is what the people ask.
MVP MVP still Joker for me. I mean, come on. Uh, Rookie of the Year. Are we calling Chet a rookie?
Yeah,
Chet,
by their standards, he is a rookie.
Chet. Most Improved. Man, that was tough for me. I really,
That's the tough one as well. I agree.
yeah, because who you got there, Eric? Most Improved.
Uh, it's tough because all right. So for my MVP, I've said Shea Gilgeous since before the season, so I'm sticking
Mm,
with Shea Gilgeous as my guy's MVP. No disrespect to the Joker though. Rookie of the Year, I do agree is Chet because I put a priority over winning as opposed to just being a guy that's getting a bunch of opportunities. Chet has a
mm,
big impact on why OKC is one of the top seeds. Most improved, I really want to put Halliburton because of the leap that he's taken, but you can't put him as most improved because he was an all-star last year. So it's like, what is he really improving from? It's almost like remember a couple years ago when everybody was like, "Oh, Ja's most improved." It's like Ja was already an All Star though. What
yeah,
is he most improved from? I guess I would probably put Maxi because Maxi is now elevated to All Star and All NBA status.
yeah.
So I guess it would be Maxi for me.
Like when I look around the league, I mean that's a good pick because this NBA season has let me down so far. I'm gonna just say that. I haven't really been too excited about it or thrilled by anything.
I'm shaking
It's
my head
been
at
some.
Vern because Vern never ceases to amaze.
Say what?
Vern, I'm
Burn.
laughing at Vern's comment.
Oh boy.
But go ahead, bro.
But no, it's just like that. NBA is just not exciting to me right now. And I mean, it's you still got a lot of talented players and some exciting plays, but overall, maybe I'm still just in like regular season mode. You know what I mean? Where the my favorite part about watching the NBA is Kenny, Chuck, Shaq, and Ernie. You know what I'm saying? That's not. It shouldn't be that way. That I'd rather watch the pre and post game show than the actual game. So that's where I'm at right now with the NBA. They I don't see this is where all my grade comes in, and start talking on my old man shit.
You
I
start
just
yelling,
don't
"Get off
like
my
the way.
lawn."
Yeah, yo, I just don't like the way the game is played right now. I miss actual set plays. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird for that, but I miss point guards bringing the ball up, getting the offense in a position, and the ball moving 3 or 4 times before you see a shot, instead of somebody dribbling the air out the basketball, passing it once, and then taking a 30-foot jumper. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't think there really has been much excitement around this NBA season. Um, and I agree with you guys. Like, I mean, granted, when the Knicks are playing, I tune in because that's my squad. Just like I'm sure you tune in to specific games that you're interested in watching. But overall, on most nights, I'll tune in for a little bit and then just change the channel. And
Yeah.
maybe it's because we're still so caught up in this NFL season. And maybe when the NFL season's over, I'll probably get more excited about the NBA season. But right now, I just haven't really been that excited about the NBA season. I feel like there's a major disparity between the really good teams and then the lower third teams, the really bad teams. So to me, it's I kind of feel the same way, guys. Yeah, Vern said there's no juice. I agree. It's
Yeah,
I don't know
not
what's
at
something
all.
missing.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's if it is it star power.
Nah, it
Like,
can't be star power.
because I don't know. I think I'm just getting older, and and it's not the game that I grew up loving and played, and you know what I mean. It's just it's so different. And but let me give a shout out to one player in particular though. The one dude that keeps my eyes on the screen. Shout out to that kid up in Minnesota, man, Anthony
Ooh.
Edwards. No, okay, no, that's he played the game like I'm used to. Anthony Edwards, that dude's a dog. Uh, but then like that was a big blow to the fan base when you waited 25 games for Ja to come back, and then he was back for 2 3 weeks, and now he's gone again for the rest of the season. Like that's a huge blow because
Mhm.
Ja's one of them dudes that's supposed to be carrying this torch for the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
he is.
for him to not be present is a big blow to viewership and to the excitement around that league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the league is missing a little something right now. I think it will pick up, as I said, once we get past All Star Weekend. I just think we're so caught up in the NFL season. It's been a great NFL season, and I don't think it's star power. I think it's a combination of the blowouts. I think it's a combination of like the talent disparity between the top teams and the bottom teams. Um,
And
and
the
then you
best
know,
player is a doughy white boy from Serbia.
it, I don't even think it's just that though. I just think that, again, it's the
That don't
disparity.
help.
Nah, because like there are times, for example, right, that when I look at the slate to like see who's playing tonight, and I'm trying to pay attention to like what's the good game of the day. A lot of times there isn't really a good game of the day. It's a disparity in talent.
Yeah.
Like say as
It's
a
no like must like oh so and so played tonight. Like
right,
remember how it used to be that like oh
right. That's what I'm
it
saying.
ain't
Like
that now. Now it's like oh who's playing. You know what I'm
like
saying? That's what
right,
it is, man.
but no, but like look like right now. Nuggets and Celtics is playing right now. That's a really good game. And the score indicates that they're close game late in the fourth quarter. It's 5 minutes ago. But these are the other games tonight. Heat and the Hawks, not interested. Suns and the Pelicans, not interested. Suns is up damn near 30 points on the Pelicans right now. It's the third quarter. All right. Spurs and the Hornets, not
Nah,
interested.
nah.
Right? 76ers and the Magic. All right. 76ers got star power. Magic got a couple young guys. Am I going crazy on a Friday night to watch it? No. Now, if that game was a Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe, but not on a Friday night. We want the bigger matchups, right? The best matchup of the night got postponed because of the passing of the Warriors exec, but the Warriors and the Mavs were supposed to be like the marquee late game tonight. Then you got
Oh, shout
Pacers.
out to him and his family, man. He
Yeah,
died
yeah,
in
condolences.
at the dinner, bro.
Yeah, condolences to him and the family.
Man, that's crazy.
Then you got Pacers and Trailblazers. Again, the disparity between a good team and a bad team. Nets and Lakers. Like these are the games on a Friday night that you expect us to get excited about. The only one that I mentioned that you would really like is that Nuggets Celtics matchup. Other than that, it ain't much that you really gonna get excited about. And I feel like too often when
Yeah,
I look at the slate, that's exactly how I feel. I
but
come away looking at the slate.
that's where I think it circles back to we don't have stars like we used to, man.
Possibly. Let's keep it
Because
going though.
oh,
No, go ahead, go ahead. Will, go ahead. Finish that
no,
point. Finish that point.
I'm just saying, like the Celtics Boston game. I mean, the Celtics and Nuggets game. You got Jamal Murray. You got the Joker, who's the best player in the game to me. And then on the other side, you got Jason Tatum and Brown. And Tatum is an up and coming star, right?
Hmm.
So this is the game that has actual star power.
Right.
Where everywhere else is too scattered. Like Golden State off year. You know what I mean? Lakers, whatever, whatever you want to think about them. On the East Coast, who you really got? Philly, Milwaukee, Miami really ain't got no star power. I mean, if you
Miami's a
want to call
good.
Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
but they more like a grinded out type of team more than a flashy, box office team. They're not box office. I think that's what the league is missing. Throughout the league is box office. They don't really have box office. They just got guys you might want to see play a game here and there. It's not like kids are saving up their lunch money to buy tickets to see so and so play anymore. And I
It's
think that's where the league is lacking. Like I think Steph might have been the last one that you know what I mean. Kids of all age, race, everything else were coming to see. Ja could have been that,
I was becoming that.
yeah. But with his decisions off the court and with his injuries on the court, it's kind of derailed that situation. I think we need to get back to finding. Well, we don't have to do it. They need to get back to being stars instead of trying to be celeb. Does that make sense? Don't be a celebrity, be a star.
It
Like
makes perfect sense.
these dudes want to be celebrities.
These guys is worried about the social media following as
Yes,
opposed to
yes,
being a star of their
yes,
sport or their genre. So
yes.
I agree with that. The league got some work to do. The league is in good hands, though. Don't get me wrong. The league isn't
But
in a terrible place. They got a lot of young guys that they can promote and showcase.
for sure. But are those young guys even interested in being that because they handed so much before they even achieve what they need to achieve
I think
to be at that level?
I think when you look at guys like, I mean, the Joker is always going to be the isolated example, right? But when you look at guys like Anthony Edwards, when you look at SGA, when you look at the way they play the game, I feel like they willing to take on that challenge.
Yeah.
Because to me, what I see from them, and even Tyrese Halliburton, what I see from them guys is like they want that challenge of being known as a great. You can see it in the way they play. They don't back down from the challenge. They look to put up big numbers every time they get showcased. They're looking to put on a show. So I like it.
And I know KD, Russ, and James has popularity and success in OKC, but that was 10 years ago. Do you think today in today's NBA, do you think SGA needs to leave to get his just due and
So
go to a bigger market?
I don't think he needs to go to a bigger market, but I do think that because he's in a smaller market, they got to consistently have deep playoff runs. They got to be one of them teams that's consistently playing into like late May into June. Because if they're just going to be a good regular season team that gets bumped in the first, second round, then yeah, he's never going to get the attention that he deserves. Whereas if he played in a bigger market, losing in the first, second round won't even matter because he'll be highlighted and showcased on TNT and ESPN almost damn near every week. In OKC, they got to have the deep playoff run, similar to what they were having during the peak years of KD, Russ, and Harden. So he doesn't have to leave there. And I think that's a great segue to this question from Kyrie. What team is the biggest threat to the Nuggets in the West? I do think it's OKC because I think OKC has those two young talents. And if Sam Presti decides to be aggressive, I posted this on social media last week. I think Sam Presti should be aggressive right now and try to go get a veteran to go with those guys. He should try to get the guy that comes in, and even though it's SGA's team, that veteran that you can rely on come playoff time that can kind of push you over the edge and give you an opportunity to compete with the Nuggets because the window is wide open in the West. It really is the Nuggets and everyone else. And if you're Oklahoma City, the way you've been playing and the way you played against the Nuggets a couple of weeks ago, the way you played against Boston, you showed that you can hang with those guys. In a series, you probably need a little bit more. So for me, it is OKC. What about you, though? Who do you think is the biggest threat to the Nuggets? In the West,
Man,
specifically.
man, coming down the stretch, and you gonna, I'm gonna have to say the Lakers, man. I know, right? Because the NBA is not gonna let the Lakers not be there at the end of the day. And I'm not. I mean, OKC is a good young team, but are they ready for it? Are they ready for their close up? I don't
That's
think
why,
they are. I don't think they're ready for their close up, man. And the
again,
reason,
they need a piece. They need a. I
yeah,
think they need one more piece.
and with them being like for real, the probably the truest threat. With them not being ready, man, I got like LeBron and AD. If they can get and what's the point guard used to be in Minnesota?
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, Russell and them. If they can get that stuff together by April, they're gonna be a tough out in the West because I don't. It's too young out there. I feel like I don't know if there's a lot of guys out there that have that playoff medal. You know what I mean?
There
Like
isn't.
that.
There
So
isn't.
so I mean, I gotta put it on those vets out there that if they can flip that switch, they're gonna be super tough to get out. So and I don't want to give the Lakers no kind of props at all, but I'm gonna have to say, yeah, I'm thinking outside the box a little bit, and I'm gonna say the Lakers, man, because that mid season banner that they put up, that
Oh
towel
my
or
God.
whatever, was that drape,
They said the Drake.
that mid season drape they put up. I'm not even like y'all gonna have to double back on that and come back with some real championship shit.
Now,
So
I'm not gonna lie, man. I would love. Again, I don't know what it would take. I don't know how aggressive Sam Presti would be, but I would love for them to add a proven veteran scorer. I'm just throwing out a name like a DeMar DeRozan to that team. I'm telling you, just the guy. That's Vern's
now I'm
comment
just
to you.
looking at Vernon's comment.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I need clink clink tonight. What are you doing?
yeah. He said because you named the Lakers as the biggest threat. But
Oh,
I
okay,
think if
okay.
OKC could add a guy like a DeMar DeRozan, a guy who, again, is still SGA's team, but fourth quarter, we're gonna run some possessions through you, and we know you can get us a bucket. I think he would be an amazing addition to OKC. A guy like that, I think, could put them over the hump a little bit in the West. But we'll see
Who's that?
if they DeMar DeRozan.
Oh yeah. Oh, DeMar DeRozan's a dog. You put him
Yeah.
on any squad, and it's
I'm
gonna.
just saying you put him with them young boys in OKC, and I think they become a legitimate threat in the
Oh yeah.
West. They become a legitimate threat.
Oh, him and SGA in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Sick.
Justin wants to know Siakam to the Pacers. Good for the Pacers? I think so. I
Yes.
like what the Pacers are doing. A good quality team. It's Halliburton's show, but Siakam again is a proven scorer, and it's a great spot for Siakam because he doesn't have to be the number one guy. It's still going to be Halliburton's show. He's a guy that you run offense through, and Halliburton has proven that he can get everyone involved. They didn't have to give up much, though. I like Bruce Brown, but you're willing to sacrifice Bruce Brown to keep the rest of this team intact. They didn't have to give up Miles Turner. Obviously, Halliburton isn't in the deal. Ben Mathurin wasn't in the deal. So I like this landing spot for Pascal. What do you think, Will?
I think it's a great pickup for Indiana. He can give you 20, 25 a game if he wants to. And that takes a lot of pressure off Halliburton. Gives him somebody that he can facilitate to, and somebody that the defense is going to have to pay more attention to that's going to free Halliburton up even more. So I think it's a net win for the Pacers on that move.
I agree. Let's go through some of these other ones a little quicker right here. We already know this because we talked about this, but Justin wants to know Bronny James. I've watched him. Don't want to seem like hate, but he looks average. He is not an NBA level player at all right now. Will, I think you and I have said this as well. If his name was Bronny Smith, there would not be the same attention on him right now. I think he's a solid young player. He's not an NBA level player yet. He's not going to be a one and done guy, which I've always said. And I think we're expecting too much from him because of who his dad is.
Everything you just said. He's now I don't want this to come across as disparaging or disrespectful, but when it comes to college basketball players, he's regular. He's athletic. A lot of guys are athletic, but he's regular. Tell me, like, what am I supposed to be? What part of his game is superior? He does a lot of things well, but he does nothing great. And I could probably pluck, if you give me enough time, because I don't watch college basketball that much, I could probably find 15 to 20 guys that's probably better than him right now in college basketball.
I think you could find 30 to 40 guys.
30 to 40.
Yeah.
It probably is
let's
like that.
keep it a buck. Bronny doesn't even start on USC. So
Wow. Is Bronny better than Bryce
I think
today?
I don't think so.
Me either.
The best thing that happened to Bryce was that Bryce developed guard skills before he hit his growth spurt. Because now Bryce can shoot and handle like a traditional guard, but now he's hit his growth spurt. It's almost like when you watch a guy like Paul George, who has guard skills, but he's like 6'7" and lanky. Bryce is going to be the same way. You seeing Bryce now dunking on dudes. You seeing Bryce like attacking the basket and handling the ball in traffic and still being able to shoot, because that was always his calling card when he was younger. Bryce is going to be, I think, a better prospect than Bronny, and that's not a knock against Bronny. That's just the way it happens.
I think Bryce might end up about 6'9", 6'10".
Very possible. And again,
I think he's going to be that.
All the guard skills very early on.
Yep. I think he's going to be the James son to take a look at. Bronny going to be more the celebrity son. You know what I mean? He's going to be the one partying with the rappers and, you know what I'm saying, on the scene and whatnot. Where Bryce going to be more that in the gym all the time type dude. That's just what I'm guessing by the way I see how they move. But I think Bryce going to be the James son to take a look at, not Bronny.
I agree. I like Bryce a little bit more. Dartrell, he just made a quick statement here. Fellas, Anthony Edwards is special or becoming special. He is special. We talked about it a minute ago. He's a special talent. He is one of the true stars of the league. The NBA is in good hands when Curry, KD, and Bron leave. Absolutely. We agree. Now, it's up to the league to promote these guys the right way. These guys got to help their cause too. They got to win. They got to win some playoff series. They got to make some deep playoff runs. But the league is in great hands. You look around the league, there's young talent everywhere. As we mentioned, Orlando got young talent. OKC got young talent. Minnesota got young talent. The Pacers got young talent.
We haven't mentioned Luka Doncic this whole conversation.
Right. We haven't talked about Luka in Dallas. You got Wemby. So you got a lot of young talent around the league. The league will be just fine. The league will always be just fine. What the league needs is that these young guys win meaningful playoff series so that they can then showcase them. The league would have loved to showcase Zion by now, but Zion ain't won anything. The league would love to showcase Ja Morant, but Ja Morant has had some issues the last year and a half. So they want them to get that right. 2 questions from Pooh. Shout out to Pooh. Hope she having a great night out. She said, "Hey guys, thought I'd come on before I head out tonight. Shake my tail feather." Well, that was for you. When is the trade deadline, and do y'all expect major moves? So the trade deadline is February 8th. So we're about 2.5 weeks away. I do think we're going to see, I don't know if major moves, if you're talking about an all-star being traded, I don't know if we're going to see an all-star be traded, but we will see some more moves moving forward because there are a couple of teams that think they're close enough to championship contention. What do you think, Will?
Nah. And like every year, I expect, like, you know how ESPN does their whole trade deadline day, where the whole day is supposed to be marked around, and then nothing happens. You end up seeing like one of the bitches, like it's always some kind of somebody, you know what I'm saying? Somebody whose last name ends with Vitch gets traded for cash or something like that. It's never the splash that we want. It never happens. I feel like in the NBA, the moves that we want to see always happen in the summertime, not in the winter. So I'm not really expecting too much.
My fault, I was on mute. Yeah, I think, like I said, a couple moves, nothing crazy though. I don't think a major star will get dealt. We'll see what happens. Pooh also, she tuned into the show last week. This is why we rock with you, Pooh. We appreciate the support. She goes, a little off topic since I was talking movies last week. Belly 2 is one of the worst movies of all time. She said, why wasn't it even touched? And so what your top 5 worst movies. So last week, Pooh.
Oh, that would be a good topic. Top 5 worst.
That is a good one. I think we got to prepare for that one. So maybe we'll do that one next week, because next week we're going to have less football to even talk about. We're going to be in conference championship week. So there ain't going to be much to talk about.
Yo, that's a great top 5 worst movies of all time.
We're going to send Pooh a message on that.
In for that.
Yeah, we're going to send Pooh a message because we need her list on that as well.
Yeah, you're going to have to tune in. You're going to have to, wait, are we going to have to get Pooh on the show?
If Pooh wants to come on the show, we can make it happen.
Hey, girl.
Pooh, let us know. If you want to join the show, we're going to make it happen. But top 5 worst movies, we're going to do that for next week. Let's see what else we got.
Yeah, I'm with that. That's a good one.
Let's see what else we got. Kyrie said, what y'all drinking on? I got some vodka. I'm drinking vodka straight.
Oh, you know me, man. That's all I sip on. That good V.
There we go. Uh,
The Uno, you know.
Vern said, Bronny is just a name. I think at this point I agree. Like I said, he still has a lot of growing to do. He's not where everybody expects him to be. Vern also said, good for the Pacers on a Pascal trade, not a threat to go anywhere. I agree with that as well. I don't think that move puts them in the conversation with Boston, Milwaukee, even Philly. But it's a good move for them. When you look at where the Pacers have come from 2 years ago to now, where they're a legitimate playoff team and they got their legitimate all-star Halliburton, you add Siakam and, now you're a quality team come playoff time. And depending on who they match up with, you could win a series, maybe two. But ultimately, it's a move in the right direction.
So they are
Shout out,
top 5 in team in the East, right?
I believe so. I could double check where they at in the standings, but I think the move itself puts them there. I think that move puts them in that. I think that move puts them right in the same conversation with the Knicks in terms of teams, and same with Cleveland. As of right now, they're tied for the 6th spot with Miami, and they're only a half game behind the Knicks and 1 game behind Cleveland. So 4 through 7 is really jam packed in the East.
I be sleeping on Cleveland, and they right up the street. But
Yeah,
I still be sleeping on them though.
the thing with them is Garland has been out most of the year and Evan Mobley's been hurt. So I don't think anything they're doing now is sustainable come playoff time. Also, we can't forget they got bumped in the first round last year. So nobody's going to take them serious until they win a series at least. Kyrie said Devin Booker has 52 points in the third quarter versus the Pelicans.
Damn.
Devin Booker is the truth. But this is also what we talked about. These are the type of games that on these nights you're not going to be excited about.
How do they feel about Bradley Beal in Phoenix?
I would love for us to get somebody from the Phoenix area on the show because
Yeah.
Bradley Beal, I think, has only played a handful of games this year.
Thank you very much, Phoenix.
Yep. Kyrie says Soul Plane is only good when you high.
I don't know nothing about that, brother.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak on that. Soul Plane wasn't. I mean, it didn't make the list. It didn't make the list. So,
Only when you're high. I've never been that.
yeah, I don't
Ever
know.
in my life. I don't know what
But
that's like.
nah, we don't partake in those things.
I
Yeah.
don't know what
Yeah,
that's about.
yeah. I plead the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Well, we got 4 games this week. I had the pick scrolling across the bottom, but let's get to our actual thoughts on the games before we wrap up the night. Also, Pooh, when you hear this, let me know what's up. I want your 5 worst movies for next week. And if you want to join the show with us, we're gonna make that happen as well. Let me know, Pooh. But Will, tomorrow, first game of the day, Ravens hosting the Texans. Texans coming off their win last week against the Browns. The Ravens had the opportunity to rest up. Mark Andrews will not play. There was rumors that he might be ready, but he won't be ready. What are your thoughts on that first game of the day tomorrow?
I gotta take the Ravens at home. And here's why. John Harbaugh has been there and done that. Lamar Jackson is about to be a 2-time MVP. That stadium's going to be raucous. They're playing outdoors, which Houston does not do. It's cold as hell in Maryland right now, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know. And I think it's going to come down to experience versus inexperience. If this game was in Houston, I'd probably pick Houston, to be honest with you. That's how close I am on this game. But I'm taking experience over inexperience in this one. I love what CJ Stroud's been doing this year. D'Amico Ryans, to me, is coach of the year. They've been doing some great things, but I think this is where the fairy tale ends. I just think Lamar's got too much to prove, and Baltimore, like I said, they've been there and done that. Houston's on their way. I mean, they made some great strides this year. I just don't think this is their spot right now. So I'm gonna take Baltimore in a closer game. I'm thinking it's gonna be something like a 27-23 type game. But I'm rolling with the home team.
That's fair. They played each other early this season, week 1. We can't take anything away from week 1 because, again, that was CJ Stroud's first start, and that was D'Amico Ryan's first game as head coach. So I'm not relying on any of the information from that game. I'll say this, though. I think CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, the emotion that they've had to ride the last 2 weeks, winning week 18 in that game against the Colts, and then winning last week, I think this is their letdown game. I think CJ Stroud will be good in this game. I think he'll have his moments, but this Ravens defense is legit. They're the number one defense for a reason. And Lamar, Harbaugh, the whole squad, they've been hearing for the longest time about how this team can't win in a playoff game. This will be your prototypical number one seed putting on a show for everyone to see. Texans hang tough, I think, through the first half. I think by the third quarter, the wheels start to fall off. I see the Ravens winning this game pretty easily. Ravens are favored by 9.5 points. I got them covering this one. Again, I think CJ Stroud, no disrespect to CJ Stroud, and I agree with you. D'Amico Ryans should be coach of the year. I changed my stance from a few weeks ago when I originally had Shane Steichen as the guy. But D'Amico Ryans winning the division with the rookie quarterback, to me, makes him the coach of the year. But it's the Ravens. I just think it's too much talent. And they've been the most consistent team in the AFC all year. I think they win this game. I can see them winning this one 30-20. Competitive game that gets away in the second half. They cover the spread. I like the Ravens in that one. Second game of the day, 49ers and Green Bay in San Fran. Will, what you thinking?
I got to go with the home team again. I think I almost called him Mike. Almost called him his daddy. I think Kyle Shanahan has learned from his mistakes of his past transgressions in playoff play. He's always been a great offensive mind, hence taking the Mr. Irrelevant and making him a quite relevant starter in the NFL. That defense they got over there, probably one of the top 3 in the league, obviously. And they got playmakers all across the board on offense, with probably arguably the most explosive and dangerous running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. And those skill, like we talked about the skill position players earlier, and Ayuk and Debo and Kittle. Debo might throw a touchdown on you.
Yeah.
With the way they scheme stuff up. You know what I'm saying? And it might, you know what? I'm bold prediction. They run a double reverse this weekend and Brock Purdy catches a touchdown. Bold prediction. But I just think the 49ers are poised to get to they're poised to get to Vegas this year, man. I just think it's their time. I think they're the more talented team. They're the better coach team. And I think we're gonna see them there.
Yeah. Aside from injuries, that's the only time the 49ers have not looked like a Super Bowl contender. Those weeks where, Kittle was out, Trent Williams was hurt, McCaffrey was banged up, Debo was out. Other than that, they've looked like a Super Bowl contender damn near every week. So I don't think that changes. Also, something we can't overlook, Kyle Shanahan has dominated the matchups against Matt LaFleur in the playoffs. Previous matchups in the playoffs, they have blown out the Packers. That was with Aaron Rodgers. I know with Jordan Love, people will say, oh, it's a younger team. It ain't going to matter. Kyle Shanahan is just a better coach. And as long as he has all his weapons, as you mentioned, the playbook is completely open. There's going to be running plays for Debo. There's going to be pass catching opportunities for McCaffrey. Last week, I think people were putting too much stock in how Green Bay handled Dallas. Impressive win, don't get me wrong. But Dallas still was moving the ball up and down the field on them. It wasn't like they were shutting down Dallas. It was just that Dallas got so far behind early in that game that Green Bay was able to coast. I don't think Jordan Love is going to have a perfect passer rating, which is what he had last week. He went like 16-20 last week with the touchdowns. I damn sure don't think Aaron Jones is going to run the ball on the Niners the way they did against Dallas last week. So this is a much tougher game for them. And I think San Fran handles them. I also have San Fran covering the 9.5 this week. Vern does as well. So you, Vern and myself all think the Niners advance. Vern and I both think that they cover the 9.5 and move on.
So that means Green Bay. That means Green Bay is going to win the game.
I don't know about that.
We all picked them.
Because last week
Green Bay going to win by 12.
Last week, hold on. I'm trying to look back to last week. Who we had that was all the same. We all had Buffalo last week. We all had. Who else did we have last week? We all had Buffalo. We all had Kansas City. It's crazy. Last week we all went 4-2, but that was the only 2 games that we had the same. We all had Buffalo. We all had Kansas City.
We all went 4-2.
Yeah, we went 4-2 last week.
Okay.
Me and Vern. So we all like Detroit, but Vern and I did like the Rams to take the 3 points, which they covered. So yeah. What else we got? Sunday's games. This way it gets tricky. You got the Bucks traveling to Detroit. I'll start this one off. You see my picks along the bottom of the screen. I like the Bucks to not only cover the 6.5. I think the Bucks are a live underdog. As I highlighted earlier, I thought Detroit, they treated last week as if that was their Super Bowl. They brought out all the star power. They celebrated after the game as if they had accomplished something major. Granted, I know they had not won a home playoff game in 30 years. They had not hosted a home playoff game in quite some time. And I know there was also the talk about Matthew Stafford. When you look back at that game last week, Will, the Detroit Lions scored on their first 3 possessions. They went up 21-10. From that point on, they scored 3 points the rest of the game. The Rams were the better team last week. It's just that the Rams kept kicking field goals in the red zone. There's also something about this Tampa Bay team. I think they're sneaky good. Mike Evans had a terrible game against Philly. I don't think that translates this week. I think Tampa Bay wins this game. I think Detroit gets a little tight pause as this game goes along because there will be there's going to be this anticipation in Detroit that people are going to look like, well, we got an easy path to the NFC Championship game. All we got to do is beat Tampa. And this is when the upsets happen. I like the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield to go into Detroit. I got them taking the 6.5 points, but I also like them to win outright.
I don't think Dan Campbell allows Detroit to have that mindset. And when he came in, you know how we clowned him.
Mm-hmm.
He's biting ankles and kneecaps and vertebrae or whatever else he was biting. But it's translated like that locker room is completely bought into what he's putting down. Like they believe in that shit. And if he's the motivator that I think he is, he's probably in that locker room like it's in front of us. It's right in front of us. All we got to do is go out there and keep grinding, keep doing what we've been doing. And they got some ballers over there
Absolutely.
They got some ballers. Jared Goff, he's had a career resurgence. We talked about him earlier. They can run the ball consistently, and they got some dudes over there at receiver. You know what I mean? They got Amon-Ra St. Brown he's serious. This dude, like he's had like an AJ Brown effect on Detroit's offense. I just don't think that they're going to lay down at this point. I think they see it in front. I think it ends for them next week, but I don't think it ends for them this week. I like Detroit.
Fair. Vern has. I don't know if he likes Detroit outright. I know he is going with the Bucks plus 6.5. So we throw that up on the screen. But I don't know, man. I think this is a really good spot for a letdown for Detroit because I just feel like they were too emotionally tied to that win last week. For most teams, you win wild card weekend, it's cool. You know, you celebrate the fact that you advance, but they just seemed like almost like the monkey was lifted off their back, like we did something major when all they did was win a wild card game. And I don't think they were even a better team in that game. But we'll see how that plays out this week. And then for the marquee matchup, the Sunday game, we talked about it several times. We talked about who has more pressure on them. If it's Josh Allen, if it's a possible other quarterback. Kansas City Chiefs travel to Buffalo. Weather's going to be bad again. This is Mahomes' first road playoff game outside of a Super Bowl matchup. This is his first road playoff game. Going to Buffalo, where they have beaten the Bills twice in the last 3 years in the playoffs. I like Kansas City. I like Kansas City, man. I gotta stick to what I always say. I think Mahomes is not only the best quarterback right now, but I think Mahomes is a Mount Rushmore quarterback. I think he's one of the top 4 quarterbacks of all time. And if we're going into a hostile situation, and I got the better quarterback in the matchup and the better head coach, I like my odds there. I like Kansas City to win this game, and I think this will be Sean McDermott's last game as head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
Damn. Hot take.
I like him, man.
Wow. This is Sean McDermott's last game. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, what does Diggs do after this year?
Only thing he can really do is force his way out.
Okay. Man, that's a good one. I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo wins, man.
I mean,
I think this is
they have to though, right? If they ever gonna beat Kansas City, it got to be now.
yeah, you're right. It's got to be now. And I think this is going to be where we really witness the absence and the disconnect of where Eric Bieniemy's not there anymore. Because I think he was more like everybody says he's like a bulldog, you know what I mean? Like stayed in people's ass paws and held them accountable. But I think he was probably kind of a calming effect too for Patrick because they had been through so many wars together and you know what I mean, and had that symmetry. And that's been the disconnect with the Kansas City offense all season, I feel like. Is you don't see that like all these explosions of Mahomes on the sidelines when plays don't go right. When did you ever see that before?
Yeah, there's a different level of frustration with that team.
You didn't see that before, but it wasn't allowed to occur. That was Eric's job. You know what I'm saying? When did you ever see Patrick Mahomes blow up on a player on the sideline ever when Eric Bieniemy was there? That was Bieniemy's job, and that's why everybody called him a hard ass and then this, that, and the third. Because he was not only did he hold you accountable, he protected his players. So like if Patrick was frustrated with something, he'd absorb it, and then he would unleash it on the players. You know what I'm saying? That's what good coaches do, and we discount that. You know what I'm saying? Like remember when Bieniemy first got to Washington? And there was reports that he was too hard on the players in training camp.
Right.
They said, "Oh, he's rough on us." Well, that's what a good coach is. You know what I'm saying? That's what a good football coach does. Is they hold you accountable, and they make you play for who's on your right and who's on your left. Now, if that's not happening in Kansas City anymore, which they do look a lot softer, they have. But I can't say that that's based on the coaching or based on the talent level. But there is something different from when Eric Bieniemy was there. So on the road, Patrick's first game, playoff game on the road in Buffalo with Bills Mafia, they're gonna be on fire. Probably literally, because they crazy like that. They'll light
set
themselves
themselves
on
on fire
fire
and
and then
jump through the
jump off a
table.
minivan.
Yeah.
Jump off their
Jump off the
minivan slash
Winnebago.
house.
They'll jump off the Winnebago.
And crash a picnic table. I just like Buffalo. I think this is their spot. Kansas City. I think no. If Kansas City wins this game, hats off to them. You know what I'm saying? Like I will come to you like this, my hat in hand. You know what I'm saying? Begging for your forgiveness. But I just don't think this is their spot right now. I like the Bills.
And it might not. Listen, I wouldn't be shocked if Buffalo wins this game either. To me personally, I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes yet because he has never lost in these spots. He doesn't lose this early in the playoffs. Now, granted,
He ain't been in this spot though. He ain't been in this road spot though.
That's what I say. To be fair, there wasn't road games; these were all home games. But I can't, man. Now, if you're Buffalo though, you have this is it won't get any better than this. You're getting Kansas City in Buffalo at a time when the Kansas City offense has not looked like it's been in years past, right? You're getting them in a spot where your defense has been thriving lately, where you yourself has been very hot, and you also beat Kansas City in the regular season matchup. So there is no secrets anymore. You've played each other 7 times within the last 3 seasons. It's a lot of football between you two. You know what they want to do. They know what you want to do. It's just a matter of execution. If you're Buffalo, if you can't win this one now, Buffalo, I think I don't want to say you hit reset, but you kind of take a couple steps back and figure out what you're going to do moving forward. Because Sean McDermott going to be
You definitely put it on pause and turn the TV off.
yeah. You put the game on pause for a little bit. Because if you don't win now, if Sean McDermott is 0-3 against Andy Reid in the playoffs, they're done. Sean McDermott is out of there. There's no way you can keep that job because it's apparent that you can't beat the big dog in the conference. Shout out to Melissa Deems here. She said it's the perfect storm for Buffalo to win. I agree. If you're Buffalo, it lines up perfectly for you. You have to win this game and you have to take care of business against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. Personally, I can't go against Mahomes though. I just can't.
It's time for him to lose, man. I think this is the perfect spot. I really do.
Tom.
No. If he elevates Rashee Rice and them to advance to the AFC Championship, he's already on the Mount Rushmore, right?
He's GOAT status already.
Yo, if you got Rashee Rice and them to go into Buffalo against a Sean McDermott defense, fully healthy. Wait, is the corner for Buffalo Tre'Davious White, is he healthy?
So let's look at the injury report for this week real quick. Let's see who's on there, who's listed, who's questionable, who's going to play. For Buffalo, I don't show Tre'Davious is listed, so he should be playing. Now, their linebacker, Terrell Bernard, who's a big part of their defense, is questionable. But other than that, they might be a little thin at corner because Rasul Douglas and Taron Johnson are both questionable for this game. So they might be a little thin at corner.
Yeah.
But again, this is what you wanted if you Buffalo. Home playoff game against Kansas City when they're not at their best because Kansas City offense has not looked good all season. So this is your opportunity. Don't let Mahomes in them. There should be no reason that Travis Kelce isn't double teamed on every snap.
Yep. And he don't got that burst no more.
He's looked very average.
Yo, he ain't got that burst no more, man.
Ever since he started fucking with the average girl, he looked very average.
Average.
Yeah, very average.
All that's absorbed into his skill set.
Yeah. It fucked him up.
It's very basic.
It's fucked him up. Will, give me a final thought before we wrap up tonight.
Final thoughts. And they ain't gonna be sports related. It's a lot of good content out here right now because, like I said, the NBA to me is down. NFL's ramping up. It's about to be over, and I just be in the crib a lot. Everybody, we need to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Let's laugh. You know, it's a lot of comedy out here right now that you can partake in. No matter what your style is, you know, everybody's streaming these days. Don't nobody got cable. I don't got cable. Well, I'm gonna just speak for myself. Go ahead and instead of, you know, trying to take each other down, and I know it's politics season and all of that. That's when we as a people start to tense up and everything is negative. Let's just take a time to just step back and laugh. There's so much funny content out here these days. Let's not be against each other. Shout out to Cat Williams. No need for no need for negativity. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let's have some fun, man. Let's bring in, like, I know we already halfway through January, but let's bring in the new year with some positivity and let's see where it takes us. You know what I'm saying? We gonna keep rocking. This was refreshing. The opinionated ones ain't been together for quite some time now. Shout out to the homie Vern. Got to get you back up on this joint when you can. But it's always good to get back to the roots, the opinionated ones, me and E. Sanchez, man. We get it going for y'all, man. That's what we do.
That's a fact. We're going to be back next week. Shout out to Pooh. Like I said, Pooh, if you tuned in, shoot me a message. Let me know. We're gonna do top 5 worst movies, but if you want to be a part of it,
Yeah,
you're more than welcome.
You got to come through with that
You're
because
more than
that's a
right.
great topic.
It's a good topic. So you're more than welcome to be a part of the show. Just let me know if you want to do it. Either hit me up on social media or on YouTube. Next week, top 5 worst movies. We're doing that's gonna be a tough category because like, are we keeping it to a specific genre?
I was just about to ask you that. I was going, is like the top 5 worst comedies or the top 5 worst joints of all time?
Let's do we'll talk off it. We'll text and we'll figure out what genre we want to do.
We gotta ask Pudo, like
Yeah, it's her
yeah,
idea. So
that
let
was
us
her.
know.
Yeah,
Let us know if you want it to be top 5 worst, like hood movies, top 5 worst uh comedies
or just in general.
in general. Yeah, we're gonna figure that out. And then obviously next week we're gonna have conference championship picks. We're gonna be a step closer to NBA trade deadline and All-Star weekend, so we'll have a lot to get into
And
there.
we'll be talking about my Chargers' new head coach
Should
because they should
be
have one by next week.
it should be shout out to Antonio Pierce. He locked in a deal to
Oh
come back
yeah,
with the Raiders.
yeah. How do we not mention
We
that?
listen. Not the comment section was amazing tonight. We had so many questions. Again, shout out to the supporters because the last couple of weeks, before we even start the live, we've been having a good 15 to 20 questions already in the comment section.
That's
Um,
good.
it's been amazing. The support's been real, man. And even tonight, bro, we started having questions. We don't go live to 9 p.m. If this is your first time tuning in with us again, 9 p.m. sharp every Friday night, the opinionated ones is part of the Sanchez Show. We had questions starting to come in at 7:30 tonight, Will. An hour and a half before
Damn, 7:30.
7:30.
That's
Questions
love.
and comment. That's what I'm saying. The people, they fuck with us, man. They subscribing. Shout out to Hoopballer Scoop. I didn't see him in the comment section, but he did hit me up early to see if we were going live
Yeah,
tonight.
he hit me up too. Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to him.
So that's what I'm saying. We getting a lot of love out here, man. We greatly appreciate it. We're gonna be back next week. Vern, get well soon. We're gonna talk. We're gonna do the movies next week. We got some football talk, and then whatever else comes up in the comment section. As always, guys, don't be shy. Let us know. Send in your suggestions, your questions, your comments, topics, because we're gonna get into all that. We don't run from any of the questions, as you can see. We damn near answered every question in the comment section tonight, as well as gave you our picks and sports talk, man. But for my brother Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. We are the opinionated ones, and we will see you guys next week. We out of here. Enjoy your weekend.